design we are working on is we are working on proportion and scale. So you are to create a movie poster, really minimalistic representation of a movie poster. I chose up. This is what the final is going to look like. We already did sketches, so make sure you're looking at your sketches that you have already drawn and that you are going to check it out. Here are my sketches. I'm going to go ahead and enter full screen so you can see them. So here are my 4 sketches. So the first one I thought, oh, that's going to be the best one, even though it's not very super original. Using scaling up these balloons really large. Then I thought about this one, scaling down the house inside the little Boy Scout badge. Then I came up with this one, so really scaling up one balloon. And then this one, actually, my 4th one was my favorite, but I thought that it was going to be a little too detailed to go do this tutorial. So I decided to go with option 3. So it's important that you are working on your sketches because sometimes your first idea isn't always the best. So next what I did was I went and I did some research. So I looked up some movie posters, kind of to get the feel of the colors that are in the poster, and I actually downloaded one so that I can eyedropper tool those colors. Then I did some research on the house. So what does the house look like? So I was kind of looking at that. I downloaded one of the images as well to be prepared, and I also thought I wanted to have the Disney Pixar logo in there. So make sure you're doing your research, looking at what you need to be prepared. Be ready to do your movie poster or your music album cover or your video game cover. So we're going to open up Illustrator, and you're going to go to File, New, create a new file, choose Print. You're going to name this one with your first name, underscore, proportion. I want you to change the points to inches, and we're going to do this one 4 inches by 5 inches. So because this one's not a square, we do have to be concerned with the orientation, and I want you to have it in portrait orientation, which is the vertical one and the option on the left-hand side. So just make sure that you put the width and the height in correctly for the portrait. Then create. Now we have our artboard. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to File, Place, and I'm going to place in those pictures that I prepared. So I have the up poster to kind of eyedropper in some of those colors. And once again, when you place something, click and drag it into place. If you just go to File, Place, and you choose it, and you just click, it's going to be super large if it's a large file, and it's going to take a lot of time to resize that to what you need. So I'm going to go to File, Place, and I'm going to go ahead and place in the house as well. So I can kind of use that as a reference. Once again, I'm clicking and dragging it over on the side so it's not taking up so much space. So first things first, we're going to put a background sky in here. So I'm going to go to my rectangle tool and select the rectangle tool. Click over the entire artboard. So I'm going to click and drag over the artboard. Here I have my fill color is white and no stroke, but I want to go ahead and click on my eyedropper and click on the back. And there we have our background color. I like that blue. It's a really nice blue. If we want to adjust it some, we can double click on the fill color and we can move our eyedropper around, and maybe we want to go a little bit deeper blue. So an important step here is to look over on our panel here. About halfway down we have our layers panel. If you don't see the layers panel, you can always go to Window and layers and open up the layers window. So this is our background layer, and just for the sake of not messing it up or accidentally selecting it later, things like that, it's always a good idea to get in the habit of locking your background layer. And then we can double click on here and say background. So we're going to name that background layer. Now, for us to do any work, we have to add a new layer. So on the bottom of this window, it says towards the right by the trash can, it says create new layer. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to name this layer content. And you can get, the more you work on something, if you have a lot of elements in there, a lot of content in your design, then you're going to want to, for the balloon, you can make a balloon layer. For the house, you can make a house layer. For the text, you can make a text layer. So utilize these layers, because sometimes you'll want to turn on the eyeball on and off, see where it's at. You can rearrange them. You can keep things organized, and you can also lock it if you're not using it, so you're not messing it up as you're working on other things. So just for the sake of this one's going to be fairly simple, I'm just going to have my content, or really I should name this elements. These are the elements I am placing in here. So next, I'm going to start with my balloon. So I'm going to click and hold on the rectangle and go to the ellipse tool. And I'm going to drag, and if you notice over my color panel over there, it's blue. So I'm really, once I let go of this, I'm not going to see the balloon anymore. Same color as my background. But if I click on the eyedropper tool, now I can go over here and I want to find a really nice pink color. And this is really small. Might take me a minute to get the right pink color. I like that. I'm going to double click on my fill and kind of make that color pop just a little bit more. There we go. Looking cute. Now, to make this a little bit more like balloons are a little bit more oval shaped, I'm going to go to my direct selection tool. With the direct selection tool, I can click on a certain anchor point and move that anchor point. So I clicked on this one saying I don't want to move any of those, just this one. And I'm just going to pull that down just a little bit. And I might actually want to make this balloon a little bit fatter. So I'm going to move that one over a little bit, move that one over a little bit, and pull this one down. I'm liking the shape of the balloon now. So I'm going to go back to my selection tool. There's my balloon. Next, most balloons, we have that little tie area down here, right? So I'm going to go to my pen tool. The color's on the same as the balloon, so that's good. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. With my pen tool, I'm going to click up in the balloon, and I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to just kind of draw the bottom little tie area of the balloon. It's not perfect, right? So I'm just going to drag, I'm clicking and dragging, going back up into the balloon and ending on the original anchor point. So I have a solid shape. So there we've got it. Once again, if we want to adjust anything, we can go to our direct selection tool. I can click on here. I can click on any of these anchor points and change them a little bit. So you can move them around, get it to where you like it. And I'm liking that a little bit better. I'm going to go back to View, Fit All in Window to zoom back out. We got our balloon looking good. Oh, squirrel! Oh, sorry. I feel like I was watching the movie. All right, so now we're going to go to our house. So, pen tool. I'm going to go ahead, before I start drawing my house, I'm going to double click on my fill color. And I ended up doing the house gray, just because I didn't like any of the other color options I was choosing. The house has like yellow, green, peachy, salmon, blue. I eyedroppered on all of those, and I'll do that in a little bit, see if you guys like any of the other ones. But I really like pink and gray, and with the background being blue already, I felt like it was too much. So all I'm going to do is I'm really going to basically just draw the outline of the house. I can come over here for now just to kind of see how my house is looking. I'm going to do the roof over here, bring that in. If you're using your pen tool and you need a straight line, you can hold down shift and it will keep you from doing a crooked line. So I'm a little bit crooked, I hold down shift, it will straighten that line for me. Over here, I'm a little bit crooked, I'm going to hold down shift, we'll straighten that. So that's a really helpful tool as you are working on your drawings. If you need a straight line, it's not giving me a guide, so I'm trying to eyeball up the other side of the house. Once again, I'm holding down shift to get that straight line. Right here, it's lining me up. It's telling me that's the top. So I'm going to click. And then here we've got, comes in a little bit. We've got a roof that comes up, kind of really pointy here, really cute. Once again, there we go. And we've got a little chimney that comes up. Holding down shift on any of these straight lines really, really helps. And ending where you are. So if you notice, I kind of went off a little bit. That's not a straight line there. I'm going to go to View, Rulers, Show Rulers. I'm going to bring in a guide here, and then that way I can make sure all of my anchor points are really straight. So go to Direct Selection Tool, and I can bring this roof down. So anytime you are working on art in your pen tool, anything that you've drawn, you can go to the Direct Selection Tool and you can change some of those anchor points. So I want to select two of them. I want to select both of them. I'm going to hold down shift so I have both of those selected. Now I can move both of those over. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Click one, shift, click the other one, move both of those over. Alright, I'm liking where my house is. I'm going to drag over that guide and delete it. Alright, now you can do that in here. I'm going to go to View. Guides and Hide Guide. Alright, so I just turned that guide off. I can pull it up later if I need to. So now I'm going to select my house with my selection tool. I'm going to drag him over here. Alright, remember we are doing proportion and scale. So this isn't really showing scale what I'm looking for. So I'm going to hold down shift, direct selection tool, shift, and I'm going to drag this smaller. So I really want the house a lot smaller than my balloon. So I need a little bit more room down here for the text. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down shift and select all three items and move it up. Make sure I'm paying attention to balance. I want to make sure I balance this all out, and I want to make sure I have room for my up down here. I really want to make my balloon quite a bit larger and just bring it off the top of the page. So I am holding down shift and I'm bringing that up. I think that's going to help some with my balance. Looking good. All right. So next thing, we're going to go to our line segment tool. We haven't used this quite often, so it's down the fourth one down on the right side. It is the same color as the balloon fill color, but lines are just the outer stroke area. So you'll see what happens once I click and drag. I'm just dragging down a straight line. Now there's no fill, no stroke. So if I go over to my properties panel, go to stroke, and I'm going to give that some width. So let's go, I kind of liked 2. I'm going to stay with 2. Now we have a color over here. It's black. I'm going to double click on here. I want a little bit lighter. Black is such a harsh color, especially when you're working with these nice, bright, pretty colors. So I actually am going to use my eyedropper tool, click on the house, it's going to do a fill color, and so I'm going to have to do the rotate it to the outer stroke area. Now, this stroke is, let me click off of it so you can see, it is on top of my balloon and my house. I said I wanted it the same color as the house so you can't really see that it's over the house. And how did it go back down to too thin? So I can select this and go to Object, Arrange, and send it to back. It did not go behind my background layer because, remember, we have that on its own layer and it's locked. So it only went behind what we've designed on this layer. So that's another benefit to locking that background layer. Now we need to add our text. So I'm going to go to the Type tool. I'm going to click on here and I'm going to do up. So to change this, I'm going to select it by clicking and dragging. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to bring it. I want it a lot larger. I want a thicker font than that. So I'm going to go to my characters and find a better font. I really liked Impact for this. I'm going to double click on the fill color and we want this white. So I'm going to go all the way up to the top corner, which is 6 Fs, to make it white. And one thing that I wanted to do to pay attention to, remember we did alignment last week. So just to align everything, I kind of want to align it nicely with the house. So I'm going to go back to my Type tool, click and drag, and I'm going to bring that size down just a tad. And I am even going to go over where it has this VA right here. This is a tracking. Well, in this case, there's only 2 letters, so it's kerning. So I'm bringing those together a little bit. And now that's lining up really nicely. We can once again go to our rulers, bring in guides if we need to be very precise. And I'm going to drag that down here. Now let's go to View, Fit All in Window, see how we're looking. See, I'm going to back up just a little bit more too because I want to see a little bit more. All right, I think the balance is going really well. I've got this is a little bit larger, so I think I'm going to even make my balloon just a tad bit bigger, just to really help the balance here. And then let's look at, I want to add Disney Pixar in there. I feel like it just does not make sense. We don't know it's a movie poster. We don't know that it's Disney's Up and that. So I'm going to go ahead and go to File, Place. I'm going to choose my Disney Pixar logo and click and drag. Remember, click and drag it in there so that it's not going too large and you're going to have to spend a lot of time rescaling. So it's really fast. We got it pretty close to what we want. I really like this dark, a little bit darker blue than the background so that it just pops a little bit, but it's not overpowering. Might actually even want to, that's good. All right, so this is all I'm going to do for my poster. You guys be as detailed as you want, be as simple as you want. Just keep in mind what we've talked about. We've already talked about balance, we've talked about alignment, and we've talked about proportion and scale. So lastly, I'm just going to clean this up. So with my selection tool, I am going to delete out, these are on my background layer that's locked. So I'm going to unlock it, delete out these 2, lock it back up. I want to actually clean off this outer area. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to go back to my rectangle tool, go back to my layer that it's on, draw my rectangle. And remember, if we select both of those shapes, I'm selecting the rectangle and the balloon, I can go to the Shape Builder tool. I can hold down Alt or Option and I can delete those other areas. Really super easy, fast way to get rid of some things that are overlapping. So lastly, what we need to do before you turn it in is you need to save it. So we're going to go to File, Save As. We're going to make sure that your name is correct. You're going to make sure you put it where you want it to put it. If you don't tell it where to go, it's going to be hard to find it. The computer's going to put it where it wants to, the default. Sometimes we can't find those. So, unless we know the exact name that we saved it as. I'm going to put it for now. I'm going to put it in downloads. And make sure you're saving it as an Adobe Illustrator file so you can continue working on it if you're not finished. Or you can change things later on. Default's fine for now. You can say OK. Then you're going to go to File, Export, Export As. Make sure your name's right, location's right. We're going to change the format. On yours, I think it says something about, on the PC it says something a little bit differently, but you're going to say JPEG, use artboards, and then export. Make sure that your quality is at 10 and your resolution's at medium for the sake of this project at 150 ppi, and then say OK to that. Next, make sure you're going to Teams. We need to turn these into Teams so we don't do all this work and not have credit for it. While Teams is open, remember to go also to OneDrive or your flash drive. Save it on one of those to make sure that you are have it in case the computer's refresh and you lose all your work. So save to OneDrive, save to Teams. I always forget to open up Teams first. So then I have to wait for it to open. So go to Class Notebook, open up our navigation panel. I'm going to go to Content Library. You're going to go to your name. You're going to go to the third quarter. I'm going to put in my third quarter example so you guys know where that's at. I am going to go to, they were just here. Squirrel. Alright, I should be saying that the whole entire thing. Alright, so come on now. Talking to my computer. It's not wanting to work. Let me go to another class period really quick just to see if it will do that. Class Notebook. Open the navigation panel. Content Library. I'm going to Content Library. You are going to your name. Third quarter. This is our proportion poster. You should have the title in there. You should have a picture of your 4 sketches. And then third, you are going to put your final in. So I'm going to go to Insert. Picture. Make sure you are doing picture. Don't use file here. You go to picture and then from file. Choose file. I'm going to go. I saved it to downloads. I'm going to go to downloads. Open. And insert. So make sure you see it pop up. That means that you inserted it the correct way for me to grade. And you see it there. And then you are finished. And remember, the adventure is out there.